AskReddit by Deviant55. What's really dangerous but everyone treats it like it's safe? Stress. I feel like this should be way higher up than the people repeating alcohol and driving in the ocean over and over. Like for sure, all are dangerous, but stress? I have a prolactinoma, a tumor, not malignant or cancerous but a friggin' tumor, that literally secretes hormones, sitting on my MF pituitary gland causing all sorts of BS, and the root cause? Stress. Tumors, weight problems, sleep problems, relationship problems, all sorts of MF problems caused by stress. I get a lot of tourists in my area trying to casually summit the local 14,000-foot mountain in sandals. Some weeks in the summer are absolutely nuts for SAR and the emergency room staff. ETA, SAR equals search and rescue. And then you have that crazy old guy in sandals that passes you on the way up and then passes you again on his way down before you've even made it up, lol. Revealing personal information about yourself on the internet. Exactly why I have a whole fake identity on the internet. Household everyday cleaning chemicals. Especially if you mix them to make a better, stronger cleaner. Infections. Every person reacts differently to them. Don't assume you are the average. Sepsis is no joke. Compressed air. I was once putting air in a car tire while on a road trip with a friend. After filling the last tire, I handed him the tube and started screwing on the cap. For some dumb fucking reason, he thought it would be funny to stick the air tube in my ear and turn it on. I couldn't hear out of that ear for like 20 minutes and it hurt so fucking much. I probably should have gone to the hospital, but the pain went away almost instantly and my hearing came back, so I just didn't fucking go. Trampolines. Especially with multiple people. Long hair around pulleys and belts. There's a YouTube channel where two young ladies are working around a sawmill with long hair, and I can't count how many times people have begged them in the comments to tuck their hair up. They don't. In 11th grade I had hair down to my butt and amp was weirdly pretty good at working the horizontal lathe at my school. Tons of rotating parts. It's used to cut and amp, shave down pieces of metal. I had my hair in a ponytail instead of a bun and amp. I thought someone was pulling my hair and amp. Then my head slammed down to the machine and amp. Within like 3 seconds my hand broke cause I put my hand in to save my hair. My classmate pulled the plug on the machine and amp. Saved my life. Water on the road. You might be able to drive through it, but more often than not you shouldn't try to. Edit. Thanks for the gold. I appreciate it. My brother literally drives into the puddle, and the idiot even says that it's safer to go faster in them because the water separates. He hasn't had an accident yet, but if he does one day, the likelihood of it being because of that backward mentality is quite high. Having your Snapchat location on. Yeah, I thought about it in high school and was wondering mostly why girls had it on. I knew girls that added random PPL for streaks. Dumb thing to do. The heat. I feel like people still dismiss it way too easily. I had a massive heat stroke about 5 years ago and it almost took me out. My body will never be the same. It went through so much trauma that it now works harder to keep me cool, making me even more susceptible to heat related emergencies. I've been that way my whole life. Got heat stroke at like age 7. Camp nurse dismissed it as me wanting to stay inside. My mom and my babysitter were livid. I literally had changed colors, was throwing up and stopped sweating, and had a migraine like never before. The rest of my life I've spent being super sensitive to heat, and spent days sick from it when it's too hot. I cannot for the life of me imagine living in the South and surviving well. The bison living in Yellowstone. Other bisons too. Riding a horse is comparable with serious extreme sports, and head injuries are the most common. Sea kayaking. Simple, but you're in serious trouble if you flip around and can't get back in. My friend got a bad head injury from kayaking. She never made it to the water cause she hit her head on the rack trying to get the kayak off of it. Going to a bar, drinking, and driving home. It's so goddamn casual. I moved from a place that's really walkable and with public transport to one of the least walkable cities where people don't live within walking distance of bars or restaurants. For a long time I didn't understand how people have a nightlife here or go out without spending a fortune on Ubers. Turns out nearly everyone is casually driving around drunk. Motorcycles, ATVs, really anything without a cage around it. Even if you wear a helmet, the brunt of the impact force goes on your spinal column. ATVs can be very dangerous. My sister's friend knew a girl who died on her birthday after the ATV flipped over. That's why when I ride ATVs with my cousin, I be careful not to make aggressive turns at high speed. Sunburns would be treated much differently if they were called by their true name, radiation burns. I will now only be calling them radiation burns. Loneliness. The NHS, British healthcare system, did a study like this, develop a statistical definition of loneliness, a threshold of social connections, below which, yeah, the subject is pretty surely lonely. Examine the difference in death rate between people in the same demographic categories, who are lonely, as defined, or not lonely. Being lonely turns out to have about the same risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. You mean it gives you higher rate of suicide, or can actually feeling lonely kill you? Blunt kitchen knives. One might think, oh, this is just a flat piece of steel, but cutting becomes tearing and crushing. The extra force this takes can easily send the knife off in an unintended direction in a swift and uncontrollable manner. Then you find out what a flat piece of steel can do to your fingers. 100% agree. I always got told and teach people that a sharp knife is safer as it will do what you want it to do, but a blunt needs more force and has a higher chance of slipping. Those bullshit carny rides at state fairs. But the thrill of it all. The rusty bolts shaking, looking like they are about to snap off. Everything just being plugged in with some frayed extension cords from the 90s, or the chain-smoking operator who looks like he's been awake for 48 hours from drinking or drugs. How could not feel safe with all of that? Going on the water without a life jacket. I had a friend who used to get teased about always wearing a life jacket, even on a big cruiser. One time he didn't wear one in a canoe. He tipped over and drowned. Driving. As a truck driver, I feel this to my core. Not many people realize how your entire life and the lives of so many others can change in an instant when you take your eyes off the road. I've seen far too many fatalities on the road in my 5 years as a truck driver. Animals. Like they're cool and all, but like they're still animals. It's not a reason to try and get up close to them. There's a reason that safari tours stop 200 feet away from the animal. There's a reason that zoos have glass and metal bars separating you and the animal. Just because an animal is used to be people doesn't mean you should get up close to it. Same thing with pets. Pets have the restraint to not actually try and hurt you if you bug them because they love you and know you are not trying to hurt them, but they are still capable of enforcing boundaries. Meaning don't act like your pet won't bite or scratch you, or a kid when the kid is messing with his face or actively causing pain or fear without intent. Too many animals were killed or labeled as dangerous because humans assumed they didn't have boundaries. Deleted. True. Landed myself in a hospital once for this. Not knowing. Took Advil daily for a long time. Tylenol is also dangerous but different mechanism. Stairs and ladders. Childbirth for both mother and child. I nearly died during childbirth. I was coded and everything. My uterus ruptured and I bled out. They gave me 10 units of blood and 16 units of saline. plus the Montana Highway Patrol had to drive 100 miles on icy roads to another larger city to get a special med from them because my smaller town's hospital didn't carry it. 100% normal pregnancy with 0 complications up until then. The springs in your garage door. One of those yeeted itself across my garage, through 2 paint cans, and punched a hole in the drywall. We installed safety cables after that surprise. Alcohol. Alcohol and benzos are the only substances that can physically cause death from withdrawal. One needs a script, and one I can get walking 10 minutes down the street. Edit. In rare cases, severe opioid withdrawals can cause excessive NVD, which can lead to dehydration and other complications that can be fatal. ATVs. Even if you are going very slow, they can gently tip over sideways and crush you. At the hospital, anytime we see trauma, ATV show up on the list, there is a good chance it's going to be a terrible injury. My father got into an ATV accident. He was wearing his helmet as always. While they're wheeling him into emergency, the nurse starts to berate him. "I hope you learned your lesson. This is why you always wear your helmet," and through gritted teeth he replies, "My ribcage is crushed. My head is fine, yeah dumb bitch, I fucking died lol." Resin. It is toxic if not used with appropriate ventilation and equipment, including gloves and a mask, but everyone uses it for projects in their little apartment studios. Always stresses me out to see that. Shouldn't be anywhere fucking near food either. Even most food safe resins, which is already a dubious claim, is going to leach after being washed in hot water. Especially if you shove your resin covered coffee cup or cheese board or WE in the diswaser like so many people on TikTok claim you can. Escalators. That kid is back on the escalator again.